Hey there everyone, my name is Manjunath and in this video we are going to build just Hello World project using Node.js. This will be a backend project, strictly backend project because we are going to build one API endpoint using Express.js, Node.js as well as MongoDB. So if you are interested to build any kind of backend, this is the best video you can watch and I would recommend you to watch entire series so that you will understand how to build backend API using Node.js and MongoDB. So without delay, let's get started. We need to install few things in order to build backend using Node.js. So first thing is we need to have Node.js itself installed. If you have it already installed, then no problem. You can use whatever the version you are using. But if you are not having it, then just go to nodejs.org and download a LTS version, whichever the LTS available. That time, just download that particular version. Then I'll be using Visual Studio Code in this particular thing. It's a free editor by Microsoft, so you just have to go to code.visualstudio.com and you need to install it. Just click next. It's not a big difficult to install this particular editor. And then we need to use MongoDB, so we'll be using cloud database. So just go to mongodb.com and click on sign in or try for free and create account. We'll be seeing how to use it in upcoming videos, but at the moment just go ahead and just sign in using MongoDB database. And now we need to create one project folder. Always remember, whenever you are like starting with any kind of coding project, you need to create a project folder. So it might be any kind of directory in your computer. Just go ahead and create one folder, and inside that we are going to create a project folder. We are going to name it as a Node.js website, or we'll call it as my Node.js website. You can name it whatever the name you want to name. It's usually the project name, but I'll keep it as my Node.js website. And now we need to open it in Visual Studio Code. Opening it in Visual Studio Code is very easy. You just have to right click. If you are using Windows 10, then you will get it in this menu only. If you are using Windows 11, just like how I am using, you just have to click on show more and open with the code. It's going to open up one project folder in Visual Studio Code. Then we need to open up integrated terminal. So you can click on this particular thing and you can click new terminal. It will open up one terminal in this particular panel. So now we need to type some of the Node.js command. Let's just make sure whether Node.js is installed or not properly. Just type node -- version. It's going to print whatever the version which is installed in my system. In yours, it might show whatever the Node.js version is installed. That may be 16.17 or maybe 19. Whichever the LTS version you have downloaded, just you will see that particular version number printed here. Then we need to see whether another package is also installed. npm -- version. It's going to print whatever the version npm is having. Just like how we have installed Node, with this particular package, it will install npm also. So you don't have to install it by downloading it somewhere else. So it will just print whatever the version it needs to have. In our project, there is no such requirement that it needs to be specifically this version only. Use latest version, that would be best. So once that is done, we need to create one Node.js project. Yes, I know we have created one folder that is my Node.js website, but our Node.js project doesn't know that this is our Node.js project. So in order to create one Node.js project, you just have to type npm init, and it's going to ask us few questions. Just answer it. Project name, it's fine, whatever the name they have mentioned inside bracket. If I just click enter, it will put default name. So for everything, let's just click next. You can fill it up and enter. So it's going to create us one file called package.json, and in this file we are going to not do pretty much anything, because whatever we have to do, it can be done directly using command line itself. So without any delay, let's just install one package. As video mentioned, we are going to use Express, so we need to install Express. If you just type npm I Express, it's going to install Express in our project, and we'll get to know that it's installed by seeing here that dependencies, it will have it as Express. So once that's done, we can close this folder file, and we'll create one new file. We'll name it as server.js. So if you're familiar with JavaScript, it's exactly same file, that is .js. If you're not familiar with JavaScript, still it's fine. You can follow along with the tutorial, but you might not understand certain things like creating variables and all. But if you're familiar with programming, you'll follow along this particular tutorial fine. So let me just create one variable, that is one constant variable we are going to create. We'll name it as Express, and we are going to set it to whatever the file which we have imported, that is Express, meaning whichever the file which we have installed right now, we are going to import that particular thing into Express. And we have to now create our app using which we can get all kind of connections, and we can start our server, that is Node.js server. We'll set this particular app to this particular Express by running. If we type this bracket, that means we are actually running that particular Express function, and we are going to use whatever that function is, whatever the function which ran using this particular app variable. So without any delay, let's just create one server quickly. So app.listen is going to make us listen on certain port. So usually we are going to listen on port 3000. By going to website, we can go to localhost colon 3000, then we'll be able to use our application. That's pretty much standard in any kind of web development if you have done it before. If you haven't done any web development, then it's fine. You are going to need this particular port using which we can access this particular project. So we can just print console.log, and we can just say server started on port 3000, and we'll just save it. Just doing this much thing is not going to allow us access the website. In order to that, we have to create one route. We can create route by same way, app.get, and we can type slash. That's the main route, that is the index route, and we can just create one function here with request and response. We'll talk about it after a while, but this is just hello world project, so let me just type some things, and we are going to send a result that which we are going to display on the website, and we are going to say it res.send, and we are just going to say hello world. So request is something which from website it will come to the server. Res is something which we are going to send from server to the website. So if it just say res.send hello world, then it's going to send hello world to the website. So if we just run this particular project, running Node.js project is very easy. We just have to type node and server.js, and it's going to run this particular project. And we got this message saying server started on port 3000. That's the message which we have written in this particular line. And if we just go to localhost 3000, we are going to get a hello world. But the thing is, if we just change something in here saying I am Manjunath, then if I just save this particular thing, we are not going to get here. So in order to make that work, we just have to again close the server by typing Control C, which will exit the server, and we have to again restart it. So if I just go back here, it will just tell hello world, I am Manjunath. But the thing is, we need to install one package in order to make sure whenever we save this particular thing, it's going to restart the server again. So that package name is called as npm dash npm I, and in order to make it as one dev dependency, meaning we don't need it in this particular project, but we just need it during the development. So we can just type it as npm dash d, and we can type that package name. The package name is nodemon, so just click enter and it's going to install that particular dependency, and we can see it in package.json saying nodemon is installed. And in order to run this particular thing, we can't just go here and type nodemon server.js. It's not going to work because it's going to say that nodemon command not found. So in order to fix that particular thing, we can just go to package.json, and instead of this test script, we can just type it as a dev, which is going to start a dev server. So let's just let's just clear out this thing, and we can type a nodemon server.js. And now we don't need to type anything like node server.js or nodemon server.js. We can just type npm run dev. It's going to run that particular dev server, and it's actually executing this particular command. You can just see it here. Whenever we type npm run dev, it's going to run nodemon server.js. And these scripts are very useful if you are like actually developing a big project, but even for small project it's fine if you just type npm run dev. Whatever you typed here, same thing you have to type in npm run dev, so that is going to run this particular server. And now if we go back here, it's going to run the dev server as usual. But if I go here and change it to I am wonderful, then if I just save it, it's going to refresh, and if we just refresh here, it's going to work here. We don't have to restart the server like how we were restarting it before. Let me just go to one website. This website is called as postman.com. If you go to postman.com/downloads, you can download it for your operating system. I'm on Windows, so it's saying Windows 64-bit. If you're on Mac or Linux, it's going to have different kind of version for it. So just download it. Once you have downloaded it, install it, and we'll use it in this particular project. Before that, we need to learn something called as JSON. So what is actually JSON? JSON is something using which a backend server can communicate with the front end, as well as from front end we can send JSON to the backend. It's just nothing but one object notation which is agreed upon front end and back end in order to transfer any kind of data. I'm not sure, like before few years, people used to use something called as XML, and nowadays JSON is like most popular language. It's easily integrated with the JavaScript, so we can use it without any kind of problem. So let's just go to our server and create one API route. So this will be our first API route. So before creating API route, we are going to just erase this particular line, and we are going to send one JSON object. JSON is very easy to understand, so you are not going to face any problem. We can type whatever the name which we want to give here, and we can write message saying server is running, that is API server is running. Okay, if I just save this particular thing, it will show up in here with little bit different notation saying message API server is running. This is nothing but JSON. So if you are able to understand this particular thing, that message is this particular thing, and if you are understanding this, then you have understood what is JSON. We can send any kind of number also from here saying version is 1. So if I just go here and if I refresh, it's going to say version is 1. So from front end application, if we just say message, it's going to just show API server is running. And if we just ask for this version, then it's just going to say version number 1. That's all for this particular API. But the thing is, in order to make sure API looks fine, we need to use that particular Postman application. So just after you download it, you can open it. Once you have opened up the Postman, it's going to have something like this interface. So you just have to click on create tab, that is plus button, and you can type whatever the thing you'll type in the browser. Let me just type one URL here so that we can access that particular thing. Index route http colon slash slash local host colon 3000, and if we run this particular thing, it's going to display. The thing is, it's going to display it in like little bit better way than how it's displaying here, which is very tough to understand what we are displaying. So this will have little bit better interface. And not just that, more than interface, we can even send JSON from the this particular application itself. If you just type something here like hello, this is my message, then this particular JSON is also available to send from here to the server. Usually it's being sent by our front-end application, maybe React, Vue.js or Angular. But while testing, we can test it in this particular software only, so that we'll understand it more better. So now we are going to get started with working with the API routes. So let me just create one new API route. It will be get request, and it's going to go for superheroes. And we are building one superhero database using REST API. That's why I'm going to call it as superheroes. You can call it anything for your project, but just make sure know this particular route. So I'll just create request, then response. Then I am going to do like how I did here, saying rest.json, and I'm going to send message saying showing all superheroes. And if I just save it, if I go to Postman, I can just go to superheroes and click enter. It's going to show, it will just show showing all superheroes. And let me just create another route, but this time the route will be little bit different, because instead of just superheroes, this time let me get a particular superhero, that is whichever the superhero we are calling. We can call it using some kind of ID, so I'll just call it as a superhero ID. And if I save it, it's going to show exactly same thing if we go to superheroes colon /1, but we need to get that particular number also, so that we can get that particular superhero. So it's very easy. We just can type superhero ID is, and we can just add plus, and we can type something different this time, that is request.params.superhero ID. This superhero ID came from here, and request.params means we are getting one parameter from the front end. So if I now go and type here, it will show superhero ID is 1, and if I type ID 2, it's going to show superhero ID is 2. So only these two route we are going to work with initially, and we are going to create 3 more requests. Just be with me until then. No? Instead of get this time, we are going to create post, and we don't need this particular ID because we are creating data. So here we can just type creating superhero, and another same way we need another this thing, and this time instead of post we are going to send a put. In this particular put request, we need actually the ID like before, that is superhero ID, because we'll have to edit one superhero. That this put means editing superhero. So I can just type editing superhero, and same way plus request dot params dot superhero ID. because we need to edit one specific superhero, not all of them. So lastly, we need to delete one superhero. So we can just type app.delete, and instead of we can have all these things, and instead of editing, I can just type deleting superhero. So that's all for this particular routes we are going to work with. Let me just increase the screen size here so that you can see everything. So let me just type here the comment so that you will understand. Display all superheroes, and here display superhero using ID. Here create a new superhero, and two more are there. Here we are going to edit superhero with the ID, and next last one we are going to type delete superhero with the ID, and this is just welcome route, that is to index, welcome to index. So that's all routes we are going to create in this particular project. It's going to create one CRUD application for our project. So if I just send post request to this particular thing, it's going to just say creating superhero. If I send put request, then it's going to give error because there is nothing here. We need to send one number here saying superhero 1. Yeah. Then last we are going to send a delete request, and if we just send it, it's going to say deleting a superhero 1. We are going to work with MongoDB. So let me just go to mongodb.com and I'll just sign in. If you have signed in that time only, you can use whatever the account which you have signed in. I'm going to create new account, so I'll just create it. It will ask for accept policy and all. I'll just accept it by clicking submit. Now it's going to give us this particular interface, and it's going to say create database, and let me just build a database. It's absolutely free when you're just getting started, so we can use it for free. So let me close it and create one free cluster. Creating cluster is very easy. Just select whichever the location is near to you, and I'll click on Mumbai. Then in this particular place, create cluster, we can keep everything default, and I'll just click create cluster. It's going to take a while to create it, but you can set one username also. So I'll just set it as my username, and password, use whatever the password you want to use. I'll just use 1 2 3 4 5 6. It's a secure password. Create user. It's saying password is too weak, so I'll just add A B C D. So it accepted the password, and everything keep default here, and that's all for this particular thing. You can click on database here. It's still creating. When it's creating, let me just close this out. Yeah, so when it's creating this particular thing, it might take 1-2 minutes. That time we can just go to here database access, and we can just make sure my username and whatever the permission it has is given. If it is not given, just click on add new user and create it, and just keep everything default, and it should give you access. I created it when the database was creating, so I can use same thing. And then you want to go to network access, and here we can just click on add IP address, and we can allow access from anywhere because we are just testing, right? So that's fine if we get give access from everywhere. So if I just go here, it's just going to say that a database is still being created. Until then, we can just go to our project and install some things which is required for working with the MongoDB database. So same way, we have to install npm I and we can install something called as Mongoose. It's a package which is going to allow us to communicate with the MongoDB easily. So I just installed it. Let's just make sure it's installed here, and I can see it's installed. Now usually this is how I create the database, by creating one file named config, and I name it as db.js, and here I'm going to import that particular file, that is const mongoose is equal to require mongoose, and once it's required, we can just create one function here. I'm going to create one asynchronous function saying const connect db is equal to async, and I'll just create it. So whenever we have this async function, we need to put it in try catch, so if any kind of error comes, we can just get it. So let me just type this error saying error while connecting, and let me just append it with the error dot message, so that we'll get error message if any error is available. So here we need to type one particular line in order to connect it to the database, and connecting it is very easy. Just type await mongoose dot connect, and here we are going to paste something, but before pasting, let me just create one variable named db underscore URI, and we need to have that particular db.uri. So here also I need to create it, db.uri is equal to something. That something is that, right? It's going to come from this particular MongoDB Atlas. It's now created the database, so we can just click on connect here. If I just click connect here, it's going to ask something. I'll just click connect to your application. So let me just copy this particular thing and go to here and paste it here. So username is whatever the username which you have created, and password is whatever the password you have put. I think I have created, I put 1 2 3 4 5 6 A B C D, and if I just save it, it's going to, yeah. So here we need to type one database name. So let me just type it as my NodeJS DB. So let me just save it, and I think that's all. Let's put one message saying log saying database connected. Let me just save it. And in order to run this particular function, we need to export it by typing module.exports is equal to connect db. So let me just go to this particular file and import that particular thing, connect db function is equal to require config dot slash config slash db. And if I just save it and type here connect db, it's going to run that particular function here. If everything goes fine, then it will run the database and it will get message saying database connected. Yeah, so if database connected is written here, that means we are ready to use the MongoDB. Let me just type one wrong password here, so that see, if I type wrong password, it's going to show error while connecting bad auth, authentication failed, meaning your username and password is not mentioned properly, or some kind of error is there when you are configuring this particular MongoDB. So let me just go here and type the name properly so that we can use it. We are going to work with models. So best practice of creating model is create one folder named models, and let me just create one file in this particular folder saying hero model.js. And in this particular hero model, we are going to have hero name and name. Name means actual name of that superhero, and hero name means it's superhero name of that particular person. For example, if it is Batman, that is the hero name, then actual name is Bruce Wayne. So that's what we are going to build in this particular project. So let me just import mongoose like how we imported there by saying const mongoose is equal to require mongoose. And in this particular file, we are going to create model. So const hero schema is equal to mongoose dot schema. So in this particular schema, we are going to define blueprint of those two things which I said in the beginning of this video, saying superhero name and name. So superhero name is superhero name is going to be string. So we are going to set the type as a string. And next thing is we are going to set a name, and name is also is going to be type of a string. Let me just type it properly, string. Then name is also is going to be required, so that without name they can't create the superhero. So required colon true. So once we have created hero schema, that is the blueprint of model, we need to create model itself. So we can create it by saying export module dot export exports is equal to mongoose dot model, and in this particular model we are going to name it, that is name is hero and hero schema. So last line denotes that it's going to create model named hero, and it's going to use this particular hero schema. So once we have created the model, then we can get started with using it in our server.js. Let me just import it. Const hero is equal to require dot slash model slash hero model, and we can use this particular hero model in the project itself. So let me just get all the heroes from the database. At the moment there are no heroes, but creating this particular thing is easy. So in order to get hero, we need to use async function. Just think of async as something like this. Whenever we are communicating with one third party thing, that is not this particular folder, but this particular mongoose database. So that time we need to send one asynchronous request. That's why we need to add a try catch here with the async here, so that we can use a await function in this particular file. So let me just get heroes is equal to hero dot find. It's going to list us all the heroes which are required for us. So let me just type here res.json. You can just type it as heroes. Now it's going to give us entire heroes object itself. If any error comes, let me just log error so that we can get it. Now if I just go to Postman and send one get request to superheroes, then we might get some error also, or it might work. Okay, it gave us little bit error here, so let's just fix it. Okay, so the fix to this particular error is easy. We just have to type await, as I said in the beginning, saying it needs to have that particular await functionality in order to get us the data properly. So if I just send the get request to superheroes, it's going to give us one empty array. If there were actually superheroes present, then it's going to give us the superhero list itself. So let me just go ahead and work with that particular thing, that is create new superhero. So in order to create superhero, we need to create some middleware here. So let's just create one middleware. Middleware is nothing but just housekeeping stuff so that everything in our application works properly. So in order to create middleware, it's very easy. App.use and express.json. So if I just type this particular thing, it's going to work. So in order to create new superhero, we need to get that particular superhero from the front end. In order to get it, we need to create one function just like how we have created there. So that function can be try catch. It should be inside try catch, and we need to put async function also here. So if any error comes, let me just console.log that particular error. And in the try block, we are going to create superhero. So await not superhero, just hero dot create. And here we need to send some things. That is, in this particular model we have written, right, superhero name and name. So superhero name is we have to type a superhero name. And did I write superhero name here? Yeah. So in superhero name, we can get it by saying request.body.superhero name. And name also same way, request.body.name. And this much is going to create that particular superhero name. Request.body.superhero name means here in this particular body with raw, and we are going to send JSON. So in this particular place, we are going to type one curly bracket and we are going to send superhero name, and we are going to name it as maybe Iron Man. And actual name of that particular superhero also we have to send. We'll name it as Tony Stark. And just make sure you are going to send a post request, not anything else. And here let's just create one message saying rush.json message saying superhero created. So if I just save it, it's going to send us that particular message, or it's going to give us error. So let me just send it. It's saying superhero created, but how to view that superhero? By just going to get request here, and if I just send it, it's going to display that particular superhero, and it's going to give us ID in Mongoose and MongoDB. This particular ID is automatically generated so that we can identify each and every document uniquely. So let me just create another superhero by sending one post request, and instead of Iron Man, this time I am going to send Peter Parker. Okay, that's actually superhero name, and we are going to name him Spider-Man. The name is Peter Parker. So if I just click on send, it's going to say that superhero created. And if I just send get request to superheroes, it's going to list down two superheroes. That is, one is Spider-Man and another is Iron Man with their actual names. So now let's just try to get one single superhero using this particular ID, so that we are going to get just Spider-Man. At the moment, if I just send it, it's going to show that superhero ID is this particular ID. But we actually need to get properly with the whoever the hero name is. So same way, async function we have to create, and we have to type a try catch. And in this particular catch, we are going to just type a log, and we are going to type it as error, so that whatever the error comes, we can see it. And in try, we need to get a single superhero this time. So we are going to get that superhero, hero const hero is equal to hero, that is our model dot find. But this time in this particular thing, we have to type it as find by id, so that hero dot find by id is going to give us if we just send id here, id is coming from here, and that can be accessed by saying request dot, that is here this request is there right from front end, that request dot not body params dot superhero id, and this particular thing needs to await, just like here we have written await, and we are going to res dot json hero itself. So if I now go here and if I send it, it's going to give me Spider-Man. So next we are going to work with the editing superhero. It's also same thing. It's like it's also very easy. Let me just create it. Here as always async function and try catch. Programming is almost very easy when you are like understand like how does all this particular thing works. So once you are familiar with it, you are going to build amazing applications. So console.log error, and in this particular thing we need to get superhero id as well as update it. So doing that is easy. We just need to await, just like how we create here. Yeah, same way, instead of creating, we can just type hero dot find by id and update. Just type it properly, find by id and update, and we need to send one id here. Id can be coming from request dot params dot superhero id, and whatever the thing which we need to edit, we can edit it by exactly like how it's written here, superhero name and this thing. We need to just make sure that we send both of these things, so that it remembers it properly. So if I just send put request, and instead of Spider-Man I'll just type Spider-Man edited, and instead of Peter Parker I'll just send it as Peter Parker renamed. I'll just send one put request here. If I send it, it's not going to show anything because I didn't send one message here saying rush.json message hero is updated. If I just save it, now if I send it again, it's going to say that hero is updated. How do you know? How do we know that hero is actually updated? We can send one get request to this particular thing, and it's going to say Spider-Man edited and name is Peter Parker renamed. So we have created editing also. Now one last thing, that is deleting this particular thing. So deleting it also is very easy. We just have to send one create one asynchronous function like how we created before, and try catch. Creating it again and again is going to improve your programming skills. So don't be afraid to create it again and again, or feel like it's very lazy, why should I create it. Creating again and again is going to improve your mind with the programming. So let me just log error, and here also same thing. It's like await find model name we have to type, that is hero dot find by id and delete. So we just need to send id. Id will come from request dot params dot superhero id, and once it's sent, we can just type res dot json with the message saying superhero deleted. So if I just save it, it's not going to work because yeah, so now it's going to work. So let me just go to another tab and let me just list down superheroes. HTTP colon slash slash localhost colon 3000. And if I just enter, it's saying API server is running, but we need to go to superheroes. And in this particular file also, it's saying Spider-Man is edited. And let me just now delete Tony Stark because he died in last movie, right? Not because that. We want to learn how does deleting work. So delete request we have to send with the Iron Man's ID. So let me just remove this particular ID and paste the Iron Man's ID. Let's just make sure it's Iron Man's 9271 last number. Here also 9271 last number. If I just send it, it's going to say that superhero deleted. And now if I try to access this particular thing, it's saying Spider-Man edited and Peter Parker renamed. There is no Iron Man in it because we just deleted the Iron Man. So that's it for this particular project, guys. And we just created one CRUD. So now you can connect this particular thing with the whatever the front end application you are creating using React, React Angular, or Vue.js, or any kind of Android app also works with this. That's it for this video, guys. If you like this series, then don't forget to subscribe me in YouTube, and see you in some other video another time. Bye bye.